starts now. Good evening, I'm Kevin Christopher.
And I'm Nancy Cox. Thank you for joining us at 6. Heavy downpours have created a lot of flooding in some parts of the state, and there's more rain on the way.
Let's get right to Bill with a look at what's still to come.
We are gradually winding down this batch of rain. As we were talking about yesterday, this is deluge part 1. Part 2 will be coming up over the weekend. We'll get to that in the main weather segment. But we still have pockets of heavy rain around southern Fayette County and then scattered across eastern Kentucky as well. Flood warnings, I mean, it covers a lot of real estate here, but you see the blue lines delineating where each particular warning is. So again, kind of pick out the community closest to you and you can get an idea of when your warning ends. High waters out there, and as we always say, never, ever, ever drive across a flooded road. Just don't ever do it. Flood-prone areas, again, you still need to be aware of the situation, but 715 along the Cumberland River, 730 going up through the middle Kentucky River Basin, up to the north 615, you get up above, say, Cave Run Lake. There's a pocket of heavy rain down from Athens to about Clay's Ferry, continues then to Richmond, more back toward Lancaster. That is going to be the back edge of really the significant rain. Then you see just spotty rains now across eastern Kentucky, so we are getting this whole mess out of here. Future track from 6 o'clock. We'll run it through each half hour here. This is off the HER model, high resolution rapid refresh. And you can see that sliding off to the east and maybe even a pocket of clear skies trying to work their way in before the night is done, although fog and drizzle may linger for a lot of us. Hey, at least we're in the mid 50s. Did I mention more rain coming back? We'll talk about when and how much in a couple of minutes.
All too often that's been mentioned. Thank you, Bill.
Staff at marinas in the southern part of the state have been glued to the forecast, hoping this relentless rain lets up. At
Conley Bottom Marina, they've been forced to limit access to Lake Cumberland as the water level continues to rise. Mike Valenti has more in LEX 18's big story at 6.
At over 740 feet, water levels at Lake Cumberland flirted with history today.
This is the highest it's been since '84.
The massive amount of rain dumped on southern Kentucky forced the marina to limit access to certain docks. If you needed to get to your boat, you'd have to be shuttled there. And there was hardly a dry moment for the staff.
Soaked and working hard right now. When it starts rising this much, we're having to extend cables and stuff that we don't normally have to do. We have a great crew that works hard in any weather. They're out here now in the wind and the rain and willing to do anything we ask there.
And the hardest work may be still in front of them as they brace for the potential of more rain this week. Covering the news in Wayne County, Mike Valenti, LEX 18 News.
Well, recent rain and roads covered by water in parts of Casey County have people thinking back to the 2015 flood that damaged businesses and homes.
Catherine Collins found out people are taking precautions for exactly that reason. That continues our Storm Tracker team coverage.
Even the chance of a flood brings back bad memories for people in Casey County.
Everybody freaks out that the same thing's going to happen a few years ago that happened when we got flooded really bad.
Stephanie Hall remembers vividly because it was only 2015 when this bypass was covered with water.
It can happen really fast.
So the conditions she's seen today worry her. Roads covered with water and a raging green river.
I had to turn around a couple times and backtrack.
Here on Yosemite Road, signs warn of high water. It's up to a foot here. Some cars are taking a chance while others are turning around.
My road was actually completely flooded when we were leaving this morning, so we kind of thought that we were going to be getting out early.
Student Haley Bird was glad to be dismissed early from Casey County High School. Principal Joshua Blevin says the district wanted to be proactive.
You know, the water's rising quickly and we noticed that.
He says the district has learned lessons from floods like the one in 2015. Covering the news in Casey County, Catherine Collins, LEX 18 News.
And the rains caused problems in Knott County, too, where a budget shortfall has officials wondering how they'll fix the roads.
Michael Burke continues our Storm Tracker team coverage in Hindman.
Knott County Road Supervisor Ricky McDaniel has a quiet moment to survey the damage around his county. And there is no shortage of damage here.
Whether it's a mudslide or a break in the road, several roads.
And it's a state of emergency here where there's not enough money in the bank to pay for the big issues. Forget the other smaller problems elsewhere in the county.
There are probably 8 to a dozen more roads that's going to be a necessary need soon.
Calf Hollow Road is currently shut down, and another highway is heading down that similar road.
There's some out there on 550. They got combs up showing where the problem is.
And this is precisely what Mr. Sloan was talking about. This is a section of the shoulder on Highway 550. It's not more than 2 feet wide to begin with, but as you can see, the damage is already done, and if something isn't done to fix it, it will only get worse.
With the water that we got right now and the ground being as saturated as it is, it can get worse. So.
Bad news for Mr. Sloan and others here in Knott County.
Anywhere you go, you'll see it.
It's what Mr. McDaniels was seeing during that quiet moment at his desk.
With 742 roads to maintain, it gets tiresome.
We could all use a break, our roads included. Covering the news in Knott County, Michael Burke, LEX 18 News.
Remember, you can find the latest weather information by logging on to lex18.com and get that information when you're on the go by downloading the free LEX 18 Storm Tracker weather app. Well, hers is a story of tragedy and triumph. Holly Dunn is the sole survivor of the notorious railroad serial killer.
She was attacked here in Lexington in 1997 and is now back in Kentucky sharing her remarkable story. Claire Crouch reports.
22 years after her attack, Holly Dunn is still amazed by what she survived.
It's still surreal at times.
It was in August of 1997 her life was changed forever. Dunn was a junior at UK. She was walking with her boyfriend Chris Meyer along railroad tracks off Waller Avenue when they were ambushed by Angel Resendez, the railroad killer. Meyer was beaten to death right in front of her. Holly was stabbed, raped, and left to die, but somehow she got help at a home nearby. Previously, we spoke to a paramedic who responded the night of the attack.
All we knew at the time, there was an injured female. Once we got there, Holly was inside a house, sitting on a couch, very bloody.
Angel Resendez killed at least 15 people across the U.S. Dunn is the only known survivor of his attacks.
I don't focus on that, though. I focus on the positive that's come and why I am still alive.
Last night, Dunn, who has gone on to help survivors of similar crimes, was back in Kentucky speaking in Bowling Green, continuing to find strength through her pain and empowering others.
I am amazed when I read more and more and hear more and more about the cases and the victims and everything that Resendez did in the world.
Resendez was executed in 2006. Covering the news, Claire Crouch, LEX 18 News.
Holly wrote a book entitled Sole Survivor, the inspiring true story of coming face to face with the infamous railroad killer.
Now a story with some disturbing details involving a plea deal. A Lexington man pleaded guilty but mentally ill today to killing his ex-girlfriend in 2016, then dismembering her body. As part of the plea deal, Patrick Ryan Jones faces 30 years in prison. In July of 2016, Jones killed 20-year-old Haley Bourgeois, dismembered her body, then dumped the remains into 2 dumpsters. Today, Jones also pleaded guilty to abuse of a corpse. An evidence tampering charge was dismissed. Lexington police say U.S. Marshals have arrested a second suspect in the shooting death of a woman outside a nightclub. Police say 28-year-old James Ragland II shot and killed 27-year-old Aisha Edwards at the Fox Club on Winchester Road last month. Ragland was taken into custody in Detroit. Officers already arrested 29-year-old Gage Phillips in Detroit on January 31st on a charge of criminal facilitation of murder. And Lexington police are searching for the most wanted person of the week. They're looking for 30-year-old Jason McKnight. He's wanted for receiving a stolen firearm. McKnight's 5'11", 175 pounds. If you see him, call the Crime Stoppers tip line 859-253-2020 or text your information to crimes, and in the text, write Lex PD, then your tip. Well, today marks the deadline for filing any new House bills this legislative session.
And one of the last bills filed is making headlines, a new public pension bill. Carolina Buchek's in Frankfort with details.
So far this legislative session, the big question has been, will there be a new pension bill? And today, on the very last day that a new bill can be filed, a new pension bill was filed. And now the big question is, what does this mean for teachers? We know they were not happy with the pension changes that were proposed last year. In fact, thousands of teachers protested at the Capitol, and they were happy when the Supreme Court overturned Senate Bill 151. But of course, they were skeptical about what would happen this year. And now we have this new bill, House Bill 504. Representative Lewis, who was a school superintendent, filed it, and Representative Travis Brenda, a teacher, is planning to sign on as a co-sponsor. But when it comes to party leadership, both sides said they still haven't read the bill, but they want to hear from others.
We're going to reach out to teacher groups and ask them, their feelings about the bill. We're going to reach out to others that it has potential impact of.
It allows us to begin the public discussion and the discussion with our caucus, and I'm sure the minority in their caucus.
Now, of course, everyone is wondering, will the teachers support this bill? We'll have to see what happens. Covering the news in Frankfurt from the LEX T-Mobile newsroom, back to you.
And just a few minutes ago, the KEA released a statement about the filing of the pension bill, saying in part, quote, Representative Lewis's bill, HB 504, appears much more promising than any previous pension bill filed in the last couple of years, end quote. A brand new music festival is coming to Lexington. It'll happen at Keeneland.
We'll show you what's in store for the Railbirds next on LEX 18 News at